Welcome to the August 25th, 2017 edition of Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. Let's get a quick take on Denver's Excise and Licensing Office now officially accepting applications for social pot clubs following the passage of Initiative 300 in November of 2016. Under the neighborhood-supported cannabis consumption pilot program, they probably need a little shorter name, non-marijuana related businesses can set up shop where individuals can consume pot as long as its surrounding community approves. Patty Calhoun from Westward. At long last, people can enjoy marijuana in a really tight space in a social club that's been approved by the community somewhere in Denver.
While they're doing yoga, probably. You know, it's interesting. John Hickenlooper and Cynthia Kaufman yesterday finally sent the response to Jeff Sessions in response to his letter about marijuana being legalized in these states and what's going to happen with the Cole Memorandum. And in their letter, Hickenlooper and Kaufman both pointed out that Colorado has really been exemplary and is a national model in how we've instituted rules in the wake of regulation of marijuana. I'm not sure Initiative 300 in Denver will also be such a model program. The problem started from right away when the state said if you had a liquor license, you could not apply. And that's a problem because it makes sense for a lot of these bars to think about doing an adjunct that would be social consumption of marijuana. Instead, you're going to have yoga studios, some art galleries. If they're nowhere near daycare or a church or an alcohol treatment center, applying really limits the number of businesses who can do it. So it might be a lot of work for not much at this point. David
Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. When you look at Initiative 300, is this a good first step that hopefully will lead to more, I guess, getting the social use of marijuana in Denver, at least in a more regulatory fashion that's easier, kind of like alcohol? Or is it so tied up with details that it's really not going to make much of a difference?
Well, the reason it passed was because it was going to be a very strict and limited system of regulation, of which I think the best part of that is only do it where you have a neighborhood group that wants it. I'm not sure how it can actually be financially viable because they can't sell marijuana, which is, you know, how you'd make money on the one hand, and nor can they be selling beer. So, I mean, maybe the model is you have the store here, and then right next door is the consumption club, which may not even pay for itself directly, but it might bring more sales to the store, and then maybe you pay a little bit towards the electricity for the Cheetos and munchies you sell at the consumption place. But with this 1,000-foot buffer zone from like everything, the Cannabist had an article today which said basically it's limited to Montbello, Swansea, Elyria, and a few patches along Colfax and Broadway. And besides that, don't expect anything soon, because the fact that the office is open to receive applications the applications are long and tough, and there's a $1,000 fee, and they're not, you know, going to get approved the same day. So we could be months or more away from this ever coming to fruition any place.
Eric Sonderman, political analyst. You know, as David's talking about the different businesses and Patty's analysis, maybe yoga bars or art galleries, I think the missing the boat here. I think the one that's really going to make a difference is kind of that episode from Taxi where Reverend Jim has the daydream of Famous Amos. If you had a Famous Amos cookie store and a pot social club, now we're talking some real economic stimulus for Denver. Maybe it's just a crazy angle here, my own little pot dream here, but what do you think of these pot social clubs opening up in Denver?
You worked way too hard on that one, Dominic.
But not the first time I've been told that.
If it's not Famous Amos cookies, at least a good chips and salsa place or something like that. I think Initiative 300 was, well, first of all, it passed very, very narrowly. I think it was designed to be rather limiting in terms of where these places were going. And the narrow passage indicates to me this town is still somewhat conflicted. It's not conflicted about legalization, decriminalization, whatever you want to call it, of marijuana usage. But I think it's conflicted about how big we're going, how much further we're going down that road. The 1,000 feet limit in terms of schools, daycare, alcohol treatment facilities, I think there's something else in that list, is a pretty strict. But I think the voters of Denver wanted it to be rather strict. So, you know, we will see how it plays out. I think David's analysis is right in terms of you'll have a store here, dispensary store here and next door a club, and it'd give new meaning to the thought of a Mile High Club.
And I thought I was stretching with the Texas reference. Penfield Tate, attorney with QTAC Rock, also a longtime state lawmaker. Do you think this is kind of the camel's nose under the tent? Kind of like how medical marijuana is like, well, people don't want to see marijuana, but then it's medical. Well, if that's going okay, maybe this will be okay. Is this on a road to expansion or too small to go do that way?
No, I think that's right. I mean, in my mind, as Cheers meets Reefer Madness, I think you've got to. I think the state and Denver elected officials are missing about a point. Voters have consistently shown their tolerance for and acceptance and support for marijuana in society, whether it's been medicinal, then personal use, now Initiative 300. And admittedly, it was written restrictively to get it on the ballot and to get it approved. But I think what's going to happen over time is if Denver is too stringent or so stringent where they actually don't approve a single application over a period of time, they're going to see a backlash from people. And they're going to see another proposal come forward that's not as restrictive and more liberal, where they're going to be compelled to start issuing some of these licenses. And the state may see a backlash. You know, if you've got bars where people are already going in and drinking and ordering food and having refreshments, is there really that much of a difference to let people smoke in there, so long as the patrons know that in some of these bars people may be smoking marijuana also? I'm not convinced there is a reason not to let both things happen in the same establishment. And so I think all of these policymakers and implementers ought to watch their steps, because I think they're about to run afoul of voters again.
That's all the time we have for Colorado Inside Out postgame this week. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.